Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Leadership Live today, broadcasting all around the world. I'm alongside Dr. Natalie Forest and, of course, the legend himself, Barry Shore. And I'm excited because we have a group of people tuning in and watching, and we have a group of people that are going to be contributing to talk about leadership principles that are going to help change your life and change your business in a positive direction. And so I'm excited, Dr. Natalie Forest. How excited are you, as always, about today's program, Dr. Natalie Forest?
Well, I don't think I can compete with the ambassador of joy right here, but I'm excited because we're back. You know, I kept telling people that you on a secret mission, and sooner or later we're going to reveal what you were doing. So today, talking about heart-centered leadership, I think is perfect, as we have just had the full moon in Pisces. So let's go and do it.
Absolutely. And Barry Shore, how excited are you? Barry is going to have two different roles for us today. On one hand, he is going to be a panelist and he's going to be a co-host. So Barry, how excited are you about today's program that talks about heart-centered leadership?
Good day, beautiful, bountiful, beloved, immortal beings, and good-looking people. Now, Moe and Natalie, how can I make the categorical statement that all the panelists and all the millions of people around the world that are tuning into this show are all good-looking? Because by definition, if they consciously and conscientiously tuned in to heart leadership, by definition, they're always looking for and finding the good. That's a good-looking person, looking for and finding the good. I am humbled and honored to be here today with these remarkable beings who channel goodness in their very essence. And I just want to make note of two interesting little points, because we love words, right? So you take the word heart. Everybody knows H-E-A-R-T in English. Now, those same letters can be rearranged and spell the word earth. Because when you are heart-centered, you are rooted in the earth, and the earth is that which gives ability to grow. So together with the heart and the earth, we combine, and as Natalie just mentioned, we just entered into the vernal equinox, which means in the northern hemisphere, we're in the autumn or fall. And in the southern hemisphere, we're going to spring, both of which, of course, are the two most loving, embracing kinds of seasons, not summer, not winter, but fall and spring. So it is an honor and a privilege to be together with you, wonderful Moe, and you, Dr. Natalie Forest, and these remarkable beings on the panel. So that I say as co-host. And now I turn back to Natalie, who can allow me to be a panelist.
Awesome. Natalie.
Well, it is very simple. I love the fact that you just mentioned Earth, because we just had a huge Earth Day celebration, Earth demonstration here as well, where I'm at, because of course we're global. And I do want to throw one other thing in where I'm at right now, because we're talking about being global. We just had elections over here. So let's talk about heart center, and let's bring in some of the amazing panelists, shall we? How about we start out with somebody who we have seen before, Michelle. Oh, that's just way too quick for me. The excitement is just out of control. As you can see, the house is full. Look at it. We are a crowded place filled with amazing energy. Okay. Woo.
Absolutely. And by the way, Dr. Natalie, I got to take a quick second to plug something, because Barry Shore is always full of so much energy. And he has a new hit show with us on the LA Tribune TV network. Of course, many people remember that about a week or two ago, he had Mark Victor Hansen, author of Chicken Soup for the Soul, with him on the Keep Smiling with Barry Shore show that you can see every single week on the LA Tribune TV network. So that show has been a massive hit. And if you have not yet watched the programs, I highly suggest you go back and watch them either online or with our wonderful partners at Roku TV. And with that, we're going to also roll in a couple more. We have a full house today. We certainly do have a full house today. And with that, we're going to roll in our guests here. And I'm going to kick it off and give it to Michelle McLean so she can get the ball rolling and talk about what it means to be a heart-centered leader. Then I'm going to step back and let Barry Shore co-host with Dr. Natalie Forest. Michelle, please.
Yes, first, thank you for having me. I love being able to come here with you guys. I see some faces that I know, Josh and Ambassador of Joy, Natalie. It's been good to be with you guys again. So I love this topic. I love this topic. I believe that leadership is love. I have that written on my whiteboard, kind of written everywhere for myself to remind me why I do what I do, why I have the dreams that I have. That is my deep down rooted belief. I feel like everything that we do is driven out of our beliefs, so deep down, really what we believe about ourselves in the world and what we aspire to do and be in the world, it's all driven out of our beliefs. And so I've really gotten to look at that of what do I truly believe, what I really want to do in the world, what I want to really bring into the world. And that's what I want is love and healing. I know it sounds cheesy to a lot of people, but when you look at some of the greatest leaders, like look at, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., people like, Jesus, amazing people who had leadership and who transformed the world, their belief underneath it all was love. And like I said, I know it sounds cheesy, but it's literally, that is my underneath belief, is that you can't truly lead people that you don't care about. If you don't, right? Like even think whatever work that it is that you do, if you think about what you're doing for them, when we're supporting them, when we're taking care of people, you have to actually care to lead people. So that would be what I would like to start off with, is that that's my belief, is that leadership is love. When you don't care and you don't love, it's you can't really lead people fully. But when we truly love, and that's our intention, then we can lead people to greatness. So with that, I'm complete.
Let me just, if I may, Dr. Natalie and wonderful Michelle, embrace you with a fervent hug. And we'll talk about a hug later. I'd like to share with everybody, since we love working with words, I told you about heart and earth. So LOVE is an acronym. It stands for living on vibrant energy, or living on the vibrational plane. John Morris, as an artist, will understand this. Kim Lee, as a healer, understands this. And even a pension plan coach understands that you have to live with the vibrations of life. So one of the things I'd like to explore with you, Michelle, is that it's not only that the leader must imbue him or herself with love and channel that to the organization, to the people that are involved, but the people at work should come knowing that they love to be at work. Imagine this. You see, one of the geniuses of what we're doing here on this show is we're not just rehashing stuff and saying things to make people feel good, like pouring baby oil over each other. Yeah, that's great. But we're talking about something very deep. And that is a shift that we want to have happen, the way people think about work. When you love work, then you can become an inspiration for everybody. It doesn't matter if you're working in the mailroom or you're making the biggest decision for a 900,000 employee organization. When you are loving work because you know that you're contributing to the benefit of the world, that's really what work is all about. Work is a process that enables you to bring out the best in you. Am I correct on that, Michelle? Mm-hmm. And that's why the love can generate through into the organization and make an impact.
Absolutely. Thank you for that, Barry. And I want to quickly point out, we have a couple other guests, Michael and Rex, that are going to be joining us shortly, but you're absolutely right. And if you have not yet gotten all of these incredible acronyms that Barry Shore produces, visit his website and you'll find more information about how to get that every week when we do the Barry Shore Show right here on the LA Tribune TV network. And with that, I want to go to Lily Wang, because I know that Lily has a lot to say when it comes to being a heart-centered leader. Lily, please. You're on mute. You're on mute, Lily.
Coach Lily, you're up.
Let's also bring in Rex Sykes while we're at it to join us up here. Lily, please.
Yes. Okay, well, first of all, thanks so much for having me, Mo, the Ambassador of Joy, everybody. So you want me to just speak on this topic a little bit?
Yes.
Okay. Well, my name is Lily. I'm Lily Wang. I put my name as Coach Lily because I thought I was entering a Zoom. That's how I appear on Zoom. But I've loved the discussion so far, what Michelle has said, what the Ambassador of Joy has said. And it's absolutely true. Love is a vibration, right? It is a vibration. And all of our thoughts and emotions exist on a vibration. And so if you're curious as to where you've been vibrating or where your frequency has been at, you can take a look at your results. Now we can do that with a little bit of compassion, non-judgment, but that's exactly where we're at. Wherever your results are, be they very, very good, so-so, or horrible, in whatever area it is that you're looking at in life, that is a good mirror to your actual vibration. So what does this have to do with love? Well, love is such a high vibration, right? Such a high vibration. And so as more of us heart-centered people, I'm talking empaths, kind-hearted people, creative people, people in service, as we learn to increase our own vibration through our service every single day, our work, our dedication to the craft, our communication skills, how we show up, how much compassion we show, we increasingly increase all of our vibrations. And
Powerful.
Where do you think love is, right? Thank you. Is love up? Where do you think money is? Pardon me. Abundance, money, open doors. Is it high, medium, or low? It's high. So that's why it's a fallacy. It's a fallacy that people have been taught that money is bad. Now, today's panel, it's not about money, but the truth is when you serve with love, when you serve with compassion, when you, like the ambassador of joy was saying, when you show up to work as an employee and give your best to the customers, yes, to your boss, to your own work, to your craft, you are increasing your vibration frequency to that level of love. And why do you think people like that get to be paid very well? Because love, abundance, open doors, opportunities, they're all up here. And that's why if you can serve with love, you not only increase your level of success, but you raise the frequency of everyone involved.
You're absolutely right, Coach Lily. And to anyone that thinks money is bad, all I have to say is not having any is much worse. So speaking of money, we have a couple people here that are in that financial field. Josh Payne, Pankaj Dayal, who many of you remember was a keynote speaker at a major LA Tribune event last year. But let's start with Josh Payne. Josh, the floor is yours. What does it mean to be a heart-centered leader in today's marketplace? Josh Payne.
Awesome, Mo. Thank you so much, man. It's always just a pleasure to be here with these incredible humans that are on this panel today. Heart-centered to me is to be a leader of service. It takes me back to a time when I first heard Rabbi Daniel Lapin giving a speech talking about that we are put on this planet to serve our brothers and sisters. And that resonated so deeply with me. And so I think we do that a few ways. Number one is to empower and equip others to fulfill their own dreams for themselves and their families through empathy. We support and build the self-esteem of the team, the individuals, ultimately giving them a standard to live up to. Our belief in them as a leader, my belief in the team gives them a standard to live up to based not on who I see them as today, but who I see they can become. That would be my thoughts on to kick us off here, Mo.
Mo, can I just jump in and embrace wonderful Josh for those remarkable insights? I'd like to just
don't ask me for permission, Barry. Ask Josh if you can embrace him. I don't know.
Yeah. Let's go. Okay, so I want to go to Lily for just a moment. Wonderful Lily, with your permission, I would like to spell your name Lily, just for the moment, because I have an acronym for it that I think you'll love. You ready?
Okay.
Lily, Lily, life, I love you.
Okay, and I guess in my case it would be
life. I literally love you.
That is so powerful. And I want to actually kick it off real quick to Michael, who's been patiently waiting. Michael, welcome to the program. And I know you're doing a lot of incredible things around the world, Michael, with your life and with your business. I want to give the floor to you to just briefly introduce yourself a little bit, and then also talk about what it means from your perspective to be a heart-centered leader in today's marketplace. Michael, let's make sure you're not on mute, and then we'll give you the floor. Michael, please. Okay, Michael, while you're figuring that out, we'll come back to you when you get off mute.
Okay, can you hear me?
You got
Yes.
it? Okay, Michael, please. The floor is yours, Michael.
All right, perfect. So I go by MP, Boss Free with MP. Michael's out there, so I just we're helping out a lot of people and coaching and mentoring and really just enjoying life. There's a lot of things. We had my article out there about a couple of 2-3 weeks ago, but I was noticing the subject about talking about the what you guys were talking about, and I was thinking, Ron, y'all were talking. I was like, a lot of people lead from their head or trying to make that sell. But I always say lead from your heart, because if you really truly love something and you're really truly being who you are, then it's going to compel that you really want to help people, right? And that's a beautiful thing, because a lot of people are just out there to see what can I get for myself, or how much money I can make off of this certain commission. And I was a single dad for 7 years, and it took a lot of patience for me to actually raise my little girl and to do certain things, and I had a whole lot of things to learn, but it was the compassion that my heart that helped me to raise her and to do certain things to make sure that I did them the correct way. So love the subject. It's very good.
Thank you, wonderful MP.
Yes,
First
sir.
of all,
Thank you.
I want to second and third your emotion that the ability to be in sales, in my humble opinion, is the second highest calling in life. The greatest calling is to be a parent, but the second highest calling is to be in sales. If you are in sales and your thrust, as Michael pointed out, is to make a sale, to make a commission, you might actually succeed, okay? But you will not, be of benefit to yourself, you hear that? To yourself, or ultimately to your clients. If you are thinking about how do I serve and become of benefit to my clients, which is what Pankaj does in his pension plan program, how can I be of benefit to my clients? By definition, money comes. The money is attracted to heart-centered leadership as opposed to chasing. If you better to be attractive like a magnet, and then, as Lily pointed out, your vibration is such that you're on the love plane, they're showering you with money. I have to take a shovel every day and move it around. That's the genius of what you're talking about, Michael. So thank you, MP. Speaking of that, can we go and ask wonderful pension plan coach to talk about what he does with how he helps people with money?
Thank you, Gary. That was a great introduction. Yes, that is, when we talk about heart-centered leadership, I came into the business thinking that I'm going to be a financial advisor. Little did I know what the business entailed. 20 years later, here I am. My focus is retirement plans, and I do work with businesses as well as the employees of the businesses in helping them get a successful plan, set up, run it, manage it. And yes, you are right, money comes. It is your end result. It is your report card. So if you have done your job the way you should be, and that's what I consider heart-centered leadership.
Thank you. By the way, I presume that Pankaj does play the guitar. Is that correct?
I am learning. It's an ukulele and I'm learning.
Oh, it's a ukulele, even better. There's not much more fun in life than plucking a ukulele. But look at what he's telling us, everybody. Pankaj, I think, is over the age of 20. Is that fair to say, Pankaj?
I don't think
I
so,
would
Barry.
hope so.
You know, the truth is, Barry, Pankaj is in a very stressful industry. So 20 doesn't look, I think he is 20. Just the stress has, maybe turned some of the hairs gray.
Yeah, but the point is, when he started out playing the ukulele, he had as much hair as Michelle had, and now that he's been doing it. But the point is that when he picked up the ukulele, he was not what they call some young guy who's out on the street or on the on the sand attracting women with his ukulele. He picked it up later in life, and it doesn't matter what it sounds like. He's playing because he understands that brings out the best in him. And when he's the best he can be, then he becomes an artist, and he attracts his clients, and he enables them to feel the same kind of energy he's doing, which is what John Morris is going to tell us about, because he's an artist, he's an author, he's a development coach, and he doesn't have ADD, he has AAD, artist, author, development coach. So, John, tell us what you do to be able to attract people in your life. Look at that. You have a bonsai behind you. Is that real?
Yes, I cultivate them. There are several around the house and the studio right now. This is one of the smaller ones. It requires a great deal of love. So it's amazing that you bring that up. You know, the whole thing is, you know, you guys have talked tonight about a whole host of different things. And I say tonight because I'm here in sunny Scotland. It's pitch black right now. I'm surrounded by studio lights. But one of the things I find really, really interesting that often gets overlooked is that not only is everything sacred and, you know, everything really, really special and the spiritual thing, but most importantly, leadership begins with you. I found in my own life, and this year in particular, that I've gone through an incredible transformation journey. You know, from being that person that struggled in the workplace for a long time to leaving it and now being at peace with all of that and not carrying that baggage with me. Well, guess what? When I did that, a ton of things started opening up. My very being here tonight is proof of that. You know, when you really start to take care of yourself, you can start taking care of the people that you work with in so much more of an effective way. And, you know, one of you guys touched on the whole thing about sales and money and everything. Again, in the world of big business and everything, you know, it seems to be that big business seems to forget the little guy. You know, big business seems to forget that behind every successful sale, there's a person. The secret to sales and the secret to business, the secret to success, in my view, is not difficult. It is remembering that the person there that you are serving, that you are trying to help, that you are trying to provide a service to, is looking for something unique, looking for something special, whether that be a portrait, whether that be a painting, whether that be a book, whether that be, I've actually got my guitar sitting over on the other side of it, whether or not that be entertainment or coaching or whatever it might be. I'm in the creative services, folks, which is, believe it or not, apparently the hardest industry to be in. Because, you know, again, it's figuring it out. It is no different to any other product that's out there. All you're going to do is to be able to talk to people, to connect with people, to actually remember behind every successful sale is a person. And I just jotted down a few notes down here while I was listening to a variety of people. You know, the most important thing, in my view, regarding leadership is to remember that you want to do everything publicly that you do privately. So you want to be the same person publicly that you are privately. There should be no differentiation at all. You know, you talked about Jesus, you talked about Buddha, you talked about, you know, religious leaders and people like that. Again, they would have continued their mission whether or not they were seen by millions and millions of people or not. And that's what, to me, makes a real and true leader. It's not the person that's darting out there up on stage all the time. It's also the person like Mother Teresa that would be willing to work it down and out, willing to help and willing to speak to people. And I think that gets missed a lot of the time in our, you know, in the busyness of life, certainly in bigger corporations, bigger businesses. But again, it all starts with you. When you get that under control and you start feeding yourself, you will be amazed at what can happen and what can manifest. And I'm proof of that. I could go on and go on.
Absolutely right.
No, by the way, John, this is so, you use this wondrous word, manifest. Yeah. And the ability to do that by being oneself is the essence. I want to share with everybody something. I want you to all go woo, woo, woo when I tell you this. You ready?
Yes.
So I am the ambassador of joy, but here is what joy stands for. Joy is an acronym that stands for Journey of You. Excuse me, did I hear my woo, woo, woo? Hello? Isn't that what you just said, John? It's the journey of you. When you become the full you, so that your external and your internal are congruent, then by definition, as you're doing what Lily is telling us about, you're living on the vibrational plane.
Correct.
And that is what attracts everything to you. And because you are attractive to others. You see, it's that opening up of those wonderful conduits of life. And I just realized that I did something that I wanted to do, but I didn't mean to do it. I wanted to be involved with everybody as a co-host, but I didn't mean to take over the spot of Dr. Natalie. So I apologize. Natalie.
No need to apologize, Barry Shore. It's a pleasure and privilege to have you here as a special co-host. And if you guys want Barry Shore without all of the distractions, remember, folks, every week he has an incredible program here on the LA Tribune TV network. Mark Victor Hansen was recently on, and there are lots of celebrity guests that will be there. So be sure to subscribe, and if you don't have us on your Roku TV set, be sure to get our channel on your TV. I want to go back a little bit to what John Morris was saying, because John, you're absolutely right, and I have opinions on this that are very unpopular in the sales training world. There's not a lot of sales trainers that are going to like this because I don't even like that industry. I think that sales training, quote unquote, is a old way of thinking. In fact, today I'm going to announce here on September 27th, 2021, that I hereby declare the sales training industry dead, and I'm going to create a new industry. You guys ready? It's called the value training industry. Instead of people being focused on selling, people need to be focused on providing value. Okay, getting a sale is nothing too special. Providing value for someone's life, providing value for someone's business, this is something special. And so I don't like the sales training. I've never done sales in my life. I don't even know what that means. All I know is to provide value for other human beings. And that's how we train everyone with any project that I'm involved with. But speaking of valuable people, there's a lot of valuable humans that have not yet had a chance to speak. They've been patiently waiting. So we want to make sure that before we go to our break, we hear from Donna Campbell, who's a remarkable human being. She's spoken on our stages as well. She's been a keynote speaker, and she's a very influential person in the personal development arena. She's got a lot of exciting projects that are going to be announced very soon. With that, Donna Campbell, please, the floor is yours. You're definitely qualified to speak on the subject matter.
Yay, Donna! Yay, Donna! Yay, Donna!
Thank you, Mo, and thank you, Barry, for having me and inviting me here today on this topic, heart-centered leadership, which goes right in alignment with what I do. I am a heart-centered healer. So a lot of times we have our mind thoughts, but what I help people do is align what they're feeling in their heart with their actual thoughts to create a heart set for heart-centered leadership. And what I've uncovered over the last, 12, 13, 14 years of working with people internationally is that there are 4 pillars to heart-centeredness. First, of course, we have the overall energy of love. It's a vibrational frequency. But what makes that up, I have learned, is the first pillar to create that heart-centered leadership is through service. You have to give. You have to be of service to others. How can you help them to create the world a better place? What can you give? The second pillar would be happiness. And happiness is internal. It's on the inside. But if you're internally happy, and you're doing that with that level of service, the rest of the world will follow suit. The third pillar would be kindness, because you do have to have kindness in moving forward out of that, which creates the fourth pillar, which is generosity. Kindness and generosity, they go together to be of that service to create the heart set that aligns with the mindset. And it's not just having it for yourself, but in heart-centered leadership, you have to demonstrate those 4 main qualities so others know how to follow, so you can pave the path, so you can share with them, so they can be empowered. Because life, it's really all about being the love you wish to see in the world. And it's also creating the life that you love to live and live to love in all of that. So those 4 pillars creates that overall energy to heart-centered leadership. But I'm also going to say this. I'm going to stir the pot just for a second. Heart-centeredness, leadership, and yes, love. But love is not always the ooey gooey, feel good. Sometimes love is tough. Sometimes love is hard. Mm-hmm. And sometimes there's that little other energy in it because you know that person can do it. And I have my own stories with that, but in the interest of time, anytime you can empower somebody through love, do it, even if it's tough love, because you know that they have the inner qualities to be expressed out.
May I embrace wonderful Donna and share with you a couple of little insights to your world, which I think you built on these wonderful pillars so nicely. My latest book, best-selling book, is called The Joy of Living. Can you imagine? The Joy of Living. And when I do my broadcast, I talk to people, I say, the joy of living can be summed up in one word, and that word is giving. As Donna said, if you are a giver, if you are in service, by definition, it's pretty hard to be grumpy and couldn't. Okay, so giving is an important aspect. The other part is kindness that you mentioned. And we have a great saying, one of our cards, as Moe may even have it handy, everyone you meet is fighting a battle you know nothing about. And to turn over the card, and it reads, be kind always. Now, KIND is a wonderful acronym, everybody, that stands for Keep Inspiring Noble Deeds. And that's what you're doing, Donna. You're keeping inspiring noble deeds. So I'm just going to share with you another one. You talked about happiness. So one of the cards that we have, whoops, can you read this, everybody? 1 second. Okay.
Joy, peace, happiness, and love.
Yeah. So we have an acronym for happiness. You might like this, Donna. Helping all pursue purpose in nobly expressed soulful song, even with a ukulele.
I love that. And remember, Barry, don't take anything personally.
Right. That's
I love that. You know, you guys need to get these cards if you guys don't have any. I want to make sure everyone speaks before we go to our midway break. We have Rex Sykes here. And I'm excited that Rex Sykes is here. Rex, you look so beautiful in that Hawaiian shirt. And folks, Rex has a program right here on the LA Tribune TV network as well as Barry. And so if you guys have not tuned into the All Things Rex show, you're missing out on something truly incredible. Rex, the floor is yours. What does it mean for you to be a heart-centered leader?
Well, I shared a Bible verse, a New Testament Bible verse, not because I think you should believe the Bible or not believe the Bible, but because it sums up love pretty nicely. You know, it's patient, it's kind, it doesn't envy, it doesn't boast, it's not proud, it doesn't dishonor others, it's not self-seeking, it's not easily angered. So there's so many things right there that just tell you what love is. And if you're talking about heart-centered or love-centered leadership, then those are the kind of attributes, characteristics, traits, or values that we should embody. You know, it's an interesting thing. Or you could look to Jesus too as the shepherd of a flock. The difficulty is that if a leader thinks that his flock are stupid sheep or sheeple, then that's not much of a leader. I believe that the flock needs to be elevated and uplifted and inspired. And if the leader is in it because of the leader's ego, and the leader needs to be boosted up and important and grab the center of attention, then they're not a leader. They're a showboater, but they're not a leader. The true leader can walk with the sheep and not even be recognized by other people outside as leader, but is recognized by the sheep because they share these values, because their interest isn't in themselves, their interest is in the flock or the people. True heart-centered leadership has nothing to do with the individual who's leading and everything to do with the people who he or she inspires to move. And that said, not enough credit is being given to the people, and all this credit is being given to the leader. So this is why I shared that Bible verse, because we need to start thinking that the people around us who we want to inspire or motivate or seek to lead, I think we need to drop the notion of leading.
I agree, Rex, and I'm so glad you brought that up. There's a lot of so-called leaders that are self-proclaimed leaders, and really they're actually just weak people. And it's good to have sympathy and empathy and compassion, but they're weak people and they want to fulfill a void by pretending to be something that they're not. And I agree with you. If you're a leader, it's never about you. Okay? Simon Sinek, who I'm a big fan of, has a wonderful talk called Leaders Eat Last. It's on YouTube. I highly recommend everyone take a look at that. But with that being said, we're about to go to the halfway point in a minute. But before we do that, Rex, I want to hear your closing thoughts if you have any. I can tell by your body language that you have some. And then we're going to go to Kim Lee, who is one of the world's authorities on heart-centered leadership. But Rex, please.
if your heart is in the right place and your attention is on the other people, you will naturally be giving. As Barry said earlier, the greatest job in the world is being a parent. So if you're a parent, you know, a good parent, you obviously care for your children. You want to supply their needs. You want to help them. You want to bring them up properly and all those things. So all the attributes that we talk about would be naturally fitting the person who is genuinely a leader. And I'm going to say that, yes, you probably could learn some of them, but not enough money in the world can get you to be the kind of leader that you could be if your heart's just not in the right place and if your mindset's not in the right place. So
thank you for that, Rex. Before we go to Kim, talk a little bit about the program All Things Rex that is right here on the LA Tribune TV network, real briefly.
Well, All Things Rex is I think, a fabulous show because what I bring on are guests that are inspiring. They have overcome challenges. They are top in their field in so many different ways, whether it's entertainment or educational. They are there to help you learn to look at life. So many of them have overcome odds, as has Barry has, you know. And so when we think we can't do something, you know, drop in, listen and watch some of my guests and understand that if you think you can or you think you can't, as Henry Ford said, you are correct, and know that anything is possible if you put your mind to it. And that's what All Things Rex is about. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Rex. Sykes, ladies and gentlemen. Now I'm real excited to talk about the next speaker because she truly is one of the world's foremost authorities when it comes to heart-centered leadership. Few people have trained with the kind of and caliber of people that she's trained with. She has trained with some of the world's most well-known spiritual leaders and teachers. She has transformed lives. I'm excited to hear from her because she's paid her dues when it comes to becoming the kind of person that's required to transform and change lives. And that's Kim. Kim, I'm excited to have you on the program. Please speak a little bit about what it means for you to be a heart-centered leader. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Mo. I'm so happy and grateful to be here. This is my first time being here. I agree with everybody for what you share. Thank you. To be heart-centered leader, I want to share this quote from my teacher, Tanya Khan, and then I'll go further into that. To be a heart-centered leader, we need to learn to love, respect, honor ourselves before we can give to others. And this is the quote from my teacher. He said, you want to love in a way that the person you love feels safe in your presence. So for me to be a heart-centered leader, we're gonna live in that space of safetyness, physical, emotional, mental, spiritual safety. So in that place that we learn to embody all aspects of ourselves as a multi-dimensional being. We cannot just force. Authentic power, it is come from within, from the place of beingness and alignment in all aspects of ourselves, with pretty much with generosity, love, kindness, compassion. When we lead with compassion, whoever we look at, whether a child, a tree, or any being that we encounter with, we're going to come from a place of reverence that have deep love, respect for ourselves and for one another, because we are one consciousness, one family, one human being. If something wrong happens, we'll hurt ourselves. So the heart-centered leader that I stand, I believe, when our heart, mind in unity, in coherence, all we have is love, peace, and joy. From this place, we stay in our beingness as a powerful miniature sunlight. Because in the space of stillness, we can hold the space for others when they come to us, that they can receive that sunlight. The sunlight itself, to me, is divine love. So from that divine love that we radiate out, we can lift each other in this place of safetyness, that we can return to love by loving oneself. So,
thank you, wonderful Kim Lee. That was fabulous. Mo, did you say we want to go to a break? Then we'll come back.
Yes. I don't know if you guys are seeing what I'm seeing. Are you guys seeing Barry move? Because I don't see him move. I see
Barry's
still
frozen.
Oh, we can hear your beautiful voice. And I've always said that the world needs more of Barry Shore. So what we'll do is we're going to take a quick break. Thank you so much for that, Kim, for contributing. We can see you now, Barry. Before we take a quick break and have Dr. Natalie Forest return to help close out the second half of our program, I want to remind everyone, speaking of heart-centered leaders, November 5th, 6th, and 7th, we have a powerful program with Adora Evans and Dennis Waitley. We have Bob Proctor that's going to be joining us here and right here on the LA Tribune TV network to help transform and change lives. So mark your calendars. We're excited for this powerful program. We're going to take a quick 30-second break, come back. Dr. Natalie Forest is going to be here with us to help guide the second half of the program. We'll be right back.
Hello and welcome to the Los Angeles Tribune. Since 1886, our name has been a part of the world of journalism. We have earned a reputation for being a publication that practices integrity, authenticity, and responsibility. For general inquiries, contact today. Thank you on behalf of the Los Angeles Tribune team.
Awesome. And Dr. Natalie Forest, I want to hear your thoughts on the first half of the program before you take the mantle and guide us for the second half. Dr. Natalie Forest, please. The floor is yours.
Well, thank you, Mo. I was actually hoping that Barry would just continue talking. It's such a show of love from Barry to me that he's jumping in and embracing everybody. I just love it. I just love being in the back and hearing everybody. But at the same time, what came through is, especially when Kim Lee was talking and everybody, it's the focus on love, and that when you love, you are leading not by desire for selfishness, but by love for others, the service piece. And that reminded me of Confucius, who said something like, I'm paraphrasing, I believe, wherever you go with a full heart. And that's really what matters. So always go with a full heart. And leaders develop themselves. One thing that stuck with me is the word battle. Somewhere I heard the word battle, like the battles we faced or something of that sort. And so when it comes to battles, I want us to talk a little bit about the battles we fight as heart-centered leaders, if that's okay. Because I think we're in a world right now, and maybe it's shifting a little bit, but right now we're in a world where we have to show love and often get into arguments because of it, because nobody believes that, as one of my shirts says, kindness is the new cool, right? So if we're thinking about the battles we fight, I don't know if it was Josh or Barry who said it earlier, but what kind of battles are we fighting as heart-centered leaders? Donna, do you want to jump in real quick? Because you have those 4 major principles as well.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So some of the battles that we fight in the leadership is that sometimes people think or believe because you are heart-centered or that you are kind and generous that they can take advantage of, for example, or that you're going to be a victim of. And that's not necessarily true, because you can still have a strength in that love through the heart-centeredness and still not be taken advantage of or be a victim of those types of energies. But if someone really truly is malicious or they're not in their own heart-centeredness, it can come at you in that way. Ego is another vice that will come along saying, I'm more important than, so everyone else has to be below me. So from those defenses, from those vices, it can chip away at the heart-centeredness there until you remember to always stand in your power, be empowered on the inside, and stand up for what you truly believe in that way.
Dr. Natalie, I'd like to jump in here and move from where Donna just gave us an insight, and to tell you about a client that I have right now that I've been coaching for over a year, of an extremely successful being on almost every level. who came to me with this particular issue. And that is, he thought, and until recently did, that kindness equals weakness. Kindness equals weakness. And part of the difficulty that he was facing is that he saw that as he was a leader in his company, and it was a fairly large company that dealt in many tens of millions of dollars, that he needed to be able to make decisions that would affect other people's life, because he sometimes needed to let people go. He also needed to affect people's lives by showing them they could do more. But he needed to do what Donna actually pointed out previously, is that love oftentimes needs to have the adjective called tough. Now, the combination of love, kindness with power is such a toxic, how should we say, cocktail, that unless it has some Kim Lee put into it, and a little bit of Coach Lily, and some MP, and some Josh Payne, and a little bit of the ukulele of Pankaj, and John Morris's Elephants, you're going to be drinking a cocktail. And of course, without that smile of wonderful Michelle McLean, you're going to drink a cocktail that would cause one to become involved in power rather than empowering. So now, working with my client, he now understands that not only is kindness not weakness, but kindness is the ultimate strength. That is a shift in consciousness. Now, here's the interesting thing. John Morris, I don't know where you come from, but I don't know if you were raised, I don't think you were raised in America. You have a wonderful, interesting accent. But most people in America, when they pronounce the word shift, somehow they drop the F. I don't know why it happens. They think that instead of shift happen, the other thing happens. So it's a consciousness to be able to shift from thinking that kindness is weakness to recognizing that kindness is strength. It's taken us a year and a half of working together with my client to him to get to the point where he recognizes kindness is strength, and it enables him to see himself empowering others, whether it means letting somebody go on, in other words, what they call firing, but letting them go, and letting them go to greater heights in his business. He told me one story. He had a particular woman who, unfortunately, because she suffered from a divorce and an abusive husband, verbally, not physically, her self-image was such that she couldn't see herself beyond the role that she was in. And he knew that she could be a star. And guess what? It took 2 years, but she now earns over $1 million a year and
Incredible.
has her.
He's frozen again, isn't he?
Yeah, and Barry, you froze. I mean, you have this powerful image of you looking so ferocious, but we can hear your powerful voice as well. So I don't know what's going on with the internet on your side, but what I want to do real quick, and Dr. Natalie, when Barry's finished with his thoughts, Dr. Natalie, if you could navigate this, I want everyone here to speak for at least 1 minute, because it's been a while since we've heard a few of our guests. And so I want to start with Josh Payne. We're going to do a quick hyper round and have everyone contribute one by one. Keep it about less than 60 seconds to contribute your thoughts, because we want to make sure everyone has a chance to contribute. And then we'll also bring in Michael and Rex as well. Please, Josh, start with your 60 seconds. Floor is yours.
Absolutely. Now, this is based on Dr. Natalie's question, correct? Am I right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So I think the reality is, in today's day, we continue to battle this microwave generation where technology is ever growing and present, which is lessening the human connection we have, and expectations at the same time are increasingly immediate and focused on short-term gratification. So I think that from the battle that a heart-centered leadership or relational leadership has, is it requires us to continue to fight to not lose the essence of human connection.
Wow, that's the human connection is so key, and I think Let's go after the human connection. I'd love to hear from Kim Lee on the same subject. I'm sure you have a lot to share with us. And you are on mute. The word of
Can
2020. There you are.
can you turn it? Am I? Can you hear me
You're
now?
good now. You're good now.
Okay. I guess the battle that we face with for me is the deep level of alignment. Human being connection, I agree with Josh, the human connection, but it's just with family dynamic, how to love in the right way. What I meant by is, as a mom, if we love our children, we give them fear, you know, that's not love. That is very harmful, that loving in the wrong way. When we truly love ourselves and knowing everything is divine arrangement, we'll send our children in the world with love and mindfulness. So that's something that I'm passionate about to help the individual understand love, kindness is the healing force that we can give to one another. Do not confuse us. Love and worry are the same. They are two different frequency. Love heal, worry kill. So that's something that I want to add to another layers of deep connection and alignment with divine love. And also the unconditional love that we need to practice to help that for ourselves and to share with one another. Thank you very much, Dr. Natalie. This is Kim.
Yeah.
Dan.
Absolutely, absolutely. And yes, divine love is a whole nother ball game. I don't know, Coach Lily, what are your thoughts on the battles we face when it comes to heart-centeredness?
I love it. Thank you, Dr. Natalie, and thanks everybody for contributing. It's Coach Lily Wang here. The battles we face in heart-centeredness, one of the things I see a lot in my students is how common it is to want to be heart-centered but not be able to go all the way. Whoa. Okay, so what do I mean by that? As an example, how many of you as a heart-centered person, or how many of you have known others who are empathetic, empaths, heart-centered, light workers, and so on and so forth, feel they're taken advantage of? Hands up. Right? It's pretty common. So here's what I say. This is an unpopular opinion, and thank you to Moe for leading the way, for being a leader here. I'd like to add an unpopular opinion as well. All the kids out there are talking about boundaries all day, every day. Now, it's okay if you do. I don't have a problem with that, but this is an unpopular opinion, and I hope it adds to the discussion. When we say boundaries, what we're really saying is, I'm afraid to give you the best of me. I'm afraid you're going to take advantage of me. So we've already left the heart-centeredness there. We're already not in that space any longer. We're in a space of fear, worry, and of self-protectiveness. Now, am I actually saying that you don't have boundaries? No, I'm just saying what we focus on, we expand. So I would encourage that instead of thinking about boundaries and no, these are my walls and you can't take them down, how about use me? How can I give more? How can I serve more? That is true heart-centered leadership. Why so many empaths right now are struggling in the world is they want to give, but like I said, they can't go all the way. So here I'd encourage two things, discipline and integrity. Because in the moment of giving, you wanted to give, correct? You did. That's why you gave. But after the fact, you took in someone's opinion or perhaps your own opinion, right? Oh, they're not giving as much as I am, so therefore I'm taken advantage of. There's a story there. But you see, we don't need to have that story. That story just muddied up the waters. So I'd encourage discipline to stick to what you said you wanted to do in the first place. And then from discipline, we create more integrity. We cannot in any way lead if we give only to change our minds and feel bad about it afterwards, right? True leadership is full on integrity. If you gave somebody something yesterday, you don't need to feel bad about it today. That was from creating a story. So heart-centered entrepreneurs, heart-centered leaders, all of us, myself included, when we use more discipline and integrity, we can actually show up more and more in the authentic way, heart-centered and loving way that we've always wanted to. So that's my little bit. Thank you.
Absolutely. Integrity. We keep coming back to integrity. I remember, Michelle, we talked about integrity before, didn't we? What are your thoughts on the issue?
Oh, so I'm loving the conversation, Lily. That was amazing about boundaries. What I wanted to presence is the difference between being in our head and being in our heart. So especially right now, if you're to turn on the news, if you're to be aware of anything that's going on in the world right now, it can be really easy to get taken out of the heart, immediately into the head, and be triggered in fear. And then we're not functioning right. We're functioning from fear. We're not functioning from love, because the two, as I believe it was Kim Lee, she presented that earlier about how those are two different frequencies, very different frequencies, to be in fear or to be in love. You know, so the come from and the work that we do from each space is very, very different. I don't know about you, but the work that I do personally is incredibly different when the come from is from my head and from fear or numbers or things like that, versus whenever I'm in my heart, all the work that I do that comes from there is so perfect, is beautiful, is complete. So I just want to give a few ways that I get into my heart and get out of my head. One of the ways is I create love by maybe sending a text message to somebody that I genuinely feel a lot of love for, and I want to share that. I want to create that. This is the way I get out of my head, because I get literally into my heart and into my emotions of like some appreciation I have for someone, appreciation or gratitude. So I'm literally creating in my beingness, I'm creating the emotion and the feeling and the frequency of love. So sometimes, depending on how much in fear, how much news, or how much I've seen, will kind of depend on how much I need to do that. Maybe I'll send that text, a love text or message or call to a few different people. Sometimes it only takes one, but it's getting in tune with, when are we in love and knowing, am I coming from love right now? Am I being love right now? Or am I being in fear? Am I being in franticness because of all the stuff going on? Or am I looking at the lack? Maybe it's the lack of financial support or the lack of actual support and connections around me, those different things. So getting into the heart. There's also music I will listen to that I know like puts me in my heart center. There's also a different yoga pose that you can get into. And so I'm just sharing things that have worked for me. I always invite people to find what works for you, to know when you're in love, in that feeling and vibration, and then be able to do that before you get into movement, before you get into action, so your come from is from love. But there's the yoga pose where you're putting your head on the floor. It's like a prayer pose. That's actually doing what's called heart math and connecting the heart and the brain to where the come from is love. So yeah, I believe that's the battle, is winning between the heart and the mind and connecting to the heart.
Yeah, that's the heart coherence. I love it. I love it. I want to go to Mr. Pankaj real quick. And then after that, I want to go to John, and I'll switch the question up a little bit when I go to John. But Pankaj, you've been with us. You've talked about, the work you do and where you came from to get to the work that you do now, and how much you care about letting people choose the right investment, the right retirement. And I know people don't always listen to logical reasoning. So when it comes to the battles that you face with the work that you do with so much love, what are you telling people? What is your thought on all of this?
Well, I have a very simple formula. If you believe in what you're doing, everything else falls in place. There are times when people may or may not agree with you, but in the long run, people will see, as long as it is coming from the heart. If you believe in something and you do it the right way, people may or may not agree, but at some point, they will see the value. Simple.
Simple and straightforward, of course. I want to go to John before I go down to MP, I believe. John, I know I'm asking the same question about the battles that we face. Now, we've also talked, Michelle mentioned music. She mentioned other things. You're also an artist. So when it comes to heart centers, the battles that we face, and the youth that you work with, the self-leadership, the staying in your ground, what are the battles we face? What are the battles that you have encountered, and how can we remain loving and heart-centered?
I think the simple thing is a lot of people are missing the point. One of the things that I do in our personal development coaching practice is to get to the root. And you can listen to your music, you can go for your nice walks and all that kind of thing. It doesn't get to the root. The root is the mind. There's three areas really that are going to have major effects on you. The first one is the mind. The second one is what you feed your mouth. The third one is what you surround yourself with from a societal point of view. I got to be honest, Michelle, I'm not a big fan of people using music, and I'll tell you why. I get why people do it, and I love music. That's the oxymoron. But I am not a big fan when people are having these anxiety attacks and these panic attacks and freaking out. First of all, my first piece of advice is don't watch the news, because majority of it, it is from one person's viewpoint, and it's not telling the complete story. That's my own view. The second thing is, and I could talk for a while on this topic, and I'm going to keep it short, but when you're listening to music, every 4 minutes, you've got a different energy that's going along. So for a prime example, if you are listening to a rock band and, you're listening to, I could name any, but I won't, probably legal reasons, copyright reasons, but it's full of energy, it's full of power, it's full of passion. You're like, yeah, this is brilliant, woo, brilliant. And then you get after that 4 minutes to something that's more melodic, that was written after they've ended up in a breakup, or they've ended up really miserable, or whatever it is. You're then taking on that energy. I found for myself, when I was going through a lot of these transformations, that the main place that our mood, our emotion, our energy all changes is in our ears. And believe it or not, we've got more junk that goes on in our ears every single day than anything else. And that comes from what you watch, what you listen to, what you see, what you surround yourself with. It is all implanting pictures into your mind. And that's what's going on with teenagers now, is they're so fixated on their cell phones and being on there and listening to these people who have such negative influence, such negative energy, and they think that's normal because that's the world that's being conditioned. If you really want to get your stuff together, and I'll keep it polite, if you want to keep your stuff together, you've got to start being aware of you. It all comes back to you. Again, divine spirit, whatever you want to call it, it is there in the center. And, if you don't want to be going like this all the time emotionally, as I was for so many years, you've got to really think about, what it is that you're putting into your head. So personally, mental prescription or mental medication, I would opt more for audiobooks. Why? Because at least for an hour, when somebody is reading to you, you've got an energy state that's like this. It's not going like this here, there, and everywhere, and throwing you all over the place, because that's changing the dynamic structure of your energies internally. And you get to the point where you're like, I feel like garbage and I don't know why. I can tell you why, because you're filling your head with all that stuff. And the same with the news, the same with the books, the same with the magazine and social media, and it goes on and on and on. And it's really important that we get back to the source, get back to what's going on here, that if you're going through these things, you've got to realize it all starts with you, and you're the only one really that can start to unplug a lot of this stuff and start to change it. And that is how anxiety is beaten. We're not born with anxiety. I'm studying psychology. I'm a psychologist in training at the moment. And it is really, really important that we get to the core of what these things are. Anyway, I'll stop there. But I hope that answers your question at least.
No, absolutely. Thank you. And we've heard that before. It all starts with you as the leader, being focused, being loving. MP, what are your thoughts on the issue of heart-centered leadership and the battles we face when we come from love?
The beautiful thing of it is that I know what John was talking about, like the cell phones and things of that nature. I've got a 13-year-old going on 44, right? And so going through the teenage years and everything like that, it's just like these kids are not here. They're just in a different area. And it's just like they're repeating themselves. And like he says, listening, I mean, some of the shows that I see her watching, I'm like, really? And it's like, doesn't make sense. But, it's really how just focused they are, and they think it's right. And it's, then we wonder why they eat different foods. Me and my wife just had this discussion today because of the influence in the YouTube and then, of course, TikTok and all that kind of stuff that they have. And it's just like, it cruds their mind, and they really don't understand. They listen to daddy, but they don't listen to him, and I remember being that age. So I knew everything. I was smarter than my mom and dad. And then when I found out when I got older, I was like, wow, I wasn't as smart as I thought I was. So, I think a lot of it is like ego, edging God out. I know Les Brown talks about that a lot. And it's a lot of ego. Everybody's self-centered. They want that microwave society, that quickness. And a lot of things are not like that. You've got to take time, not overnight, but over time. It's the slight edge. You may eat a bad hamburger today and somebody eat a salad tomorrow, your friend made. You may not see the results in a week, but in the future, you're going to start seeing the results of making those right decisions. And it all starts with you, the man in the mirror. And you got to love yourself, because that self-talk And the man in the mirror, the woman in the mirror, is the one that's going to help you to succeed and to exceed and keep on going and moving forward to be that example to the masses.
Absolutely. I love that. I love that. Well, our co-host today, Barry, what are your thoughts on all of this? You've been so quiet.
Yes, I want to leave everybody with a hug and a blessing. So now let me tell everybody what a hug stands for. You ready?
Uh-huh.
Harmonizing, unlimited giving. I want everybody to repeat it. Harmonizing, unlimited, giving. On the count of three. Ready? 1, 2, 3. And our blessing is go forth, live exuberantly, spread the seeds of joy, happiness, peace, and love. Go mad, go make a difference. Bye.
Well, awesome. And I want to bring back up for just a second the one and only Rex Sykes, because I do want to hear his last comments for tonight, because he'll have a show, of course, on Thursday with us. What are your thoughts? Just wrapping it all up, Rex. Please take us home.
Thank you, Dr. Natalie. It's been wonderful listening to everyone. I would say this, if you fight fire with fire, you end up with fire. If you try and solve a problem, if you consider something a problem, it will be a problem. If you look for the solution to the problem, you will still have the problem. Humans are really good at finding what they're looking for. So whether it's a solution or a problem that you're trying to deal with, it will be the same, because it's both sides of one coin. And so people remain stuck because they don't understand. Einstein said it probably the most succinctly, and even then he used what I would say are not that great of words. He said, the problem and the solution are from two different levels. If you can't solve the problem at the same level that the problem was created, you have to go to a different level. I feel that all of it's about transcendence. It has nothing to do with fighting it in human forms. I will use an example to close out with, and again, not because I encourage you to believe one way or the other, but if you look at Jesus, when Jesus was before Pilate, he said nothing, even though he was being accused. When he was on the cross, he said, "Forgive them, they don't know what they're doing." He didn't say, "These are bastards and I need to protect my boundaries and I have to do all these things." He came from a different place, at least in the story. So whether you believe in whatever, but the point being is the example is a good example, and that is that you have to let go, release, forgive, and operate from a different place than the one that everybody's expecting you to operate. Because if you're just going to fight the world on the world's terms, you're going to be caught in the morass of the world's terms. We need to rise above and truly come from the heart and from a different place, transcend the crap that's going on and live qualitatively differently, and then everything is different. So celebrate everything.
Celebrate everything. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you, Rex, for that. And here comes the one and only Moe Rock. Well, what are your thoughts?
I've been taking notes. I've been listening. I hope people appreciate and understand the incredible souls and spirits and minds. These are true thought leaders that we have brought here. Kim Lee is truly one of the world's foremost authorities on heart-centered leadership. Donna Campbell, Michelle McLean. Every single person, Lily, Josh, Pankaj, John, Rex, you, Dr. Natalie, and of course, Michael, who stepped away, and of course, the great Barry Shore. So everybody contributes their own flavor. Everyone has their own reality tunnel. Two people don't ever see the same thing the exact same way, right? That's one of the peculiar things about living life on this planet, is that we're sharing the world with billions of other people like us that are seeing everything differently. Even just on a simple mundane level, you look politically, you can find two people that are literally living on two different planets. Literally. If I have a conversation with two people that have a different political belief, they're literally living on two different planets. And yet they're coexisting. Yet they're going about and doing their day-to-day. And so it's important for us all as heart-centered leaders to appreciate and understand that. because we're not going to see the same things the same way. We're not programmed to. But with understanding of that, that's how we can move forward to create a better civilization, a better world. When first and foremost, we accept that we're not going to be the same with regard to our opinion. That has to be the foundation. Because the second people try to make other people, the second that we try to impose our own belief system on others, is the second that we decide to have a failed future. And sadly, the state of the world today is because that's been going on quite a bit. So accepting everyone's beliefs, even if I am the polar opposite with regard to your position, I accept you for what you are. And I think that ultimately as heart-centered leaders, that's where it must begin. Accepting the differences in our way of thinking and our way of being. And with that as the foundation, the world can become a truly peaceful, harmonious place that I believe it will be very soon. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I'm very excited to say that this has been another presentation of the Los Angeles Tribune. I want to thank our partners at Roku TV that make this program worldwide available. And tune in next week for another episode where we discuss a powerful subject matter to help you lead your life, lead your business. And with that, Dr. Forest, do you have any closing thoughts?
The only thing I want to say is, I think Kim Lee mentioned it earlier, or maybe it was Coach Lily, but we were talking about divine love and how as parents, it is one of those things where we show unconditional love. And connecting that to what Mo and everybody else just said, I think sometimes parents have also been led astray in trying to superimpose what their kids should or shouldn't become. Unconditional love means exactly what Mo just said. Accept everybody as they are and don't expect them to turn around and be like you want them to be. So to me, being a parent and showing that unconditional love to everybody is the essence of leadership. And I think that's what this panel pretty much agreed on from what I heard all evening. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Dr. Natalie Forest, and thank you, Lily and Kim, for bringing that point up. With that, ladies and gentlemen, we will see you next time. Remember to stay focused and take your power back. God bless.
Thank you.